extraordinaire, the GMologist.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geomologist Presents. Wow, I haven't really talked about games for a little bit, and I wanted to get some content out. It's been hectic, right, as it is for a lot of people here during the holiday season. And, well, I did play a lot of games. I got some games in, but then I went out of town. So, actually, I'm going to talk about a little bit of the out of town. We kind of went on a beer tour, a beer journey. You'll see today's cover is a badge from an app called Untapped that you can monitor and rate your beers. And the Find the Source badge is the most coveted badge because that shows how it kind of highlights the breweries that you've gone to. For every 5 breweries you've gone to, you get another badge. So I have a friend who has maxed it out to 100. I think I'm about 75 badges. So that's whatever that would be. If you multiply 75 times 5, I think that is 375 different breweries. So yeah, I've been to a lot, and we visited quite a few, Amy and I, on our little trip up to visit her folks. So I'm going to talk about the games that I played. I played some Pathfinder. We finally got Kingmaker going again. Got an Achthung Cthulhu game. We weren't able to play Reaver. There's too much going on. But we were able to talk about our super secret game that is going to be previewed at WHFRP 3. And then I got to run an iteration of Jackals with my wife and Jason Hobbs of Hobbs and Friends and Random Screed, and that's on the YouTube. I even got to play in Hyperborea. I guess all sorts of games that are like backup games or whatever have coming out of the woodwork this holiday season because people miss, and that's kind of Hyperborea is one of our backup games. I did get a really good session of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, our ongoing Enemy Within campaign, and I got to play Traveler 2 times during the week before and after our beer journey. So we visited several breweries. I'll just talk about them now. I put their links in the show notes. We visited Windmills, and we met a friend of ours there at Windmills, which is a really cool brewery at the Colony in near Dallas, Texas. They have really fine food and really good beer. We really enjoy their beer. One of the funniest things among their handcrafted beers, they have a beer called Black Liver or something like that. And yeah, oh wait, I'm looking at them. No, they just have their Pilsner out here, I believe. Let me see. Hefeweizen. Yeah, it's a Russian Imperial Stout that they have called the Black Liver or something like that, which is kind of fun. So we went there on one night, and then the next day, before meeting Amy's folks to exchange gifts and have dinner, we went to this brewery called Rollertown that we've been to in Salina, Texas. That's spelled Celina. It is pronounced Salina. I'm always corrected by my sister-in-law who lives up there, and has really fine brewery. Some great beers. They're little. I put them all. Actually, I'm putting on in the show notes all the links to their site so you can check them out. So yeah, Rollertown they have a manifesto. Yeah, it's pretty cool. That was Rollertown. So Rollertown we went to, and then we checked out another brewery that evening in Allen, Texas called Armor Brewing. It's a brewery that is owned and operated by veterans, which is great. That seems to be a trend currently. Brewed by veterans, enjoyed by everyone. We have a really great brewery here in town called Long Tab Brewing that we're members of, also veteran owned and operated. And Armor was really good. We actually, it was very crowded. Seems very popular. The beers are really good. We kind of just sat by the little fire pit and had a couple beers. We didn't stay to eat dinner. We were still really full from our dinner engagement with Amy's folks. But we definitely, it's something to go check out. We got some beers to go from there. We got some beers to go from Rollertown too. So, and the aforementioned Black Liver. I want to say it's Black Liver Society, but that's not it. Because that would be like Black Label Society, Zach Wild's band. Zach Wild used to be a guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne. So, anyway, it's called Black Liver something. Maybe Black Liver Therapy. I don't know. That's kind of fun. So then the next day, we drove home and we visited a few breweries. We took a long time to get home. Usually it's about a 4 hour journey. We kind of doubled that because we stayed and had a beer here, waited, beer there, ate. So yeah, a really fun long journey driving from back from Dallas to San Antonio. And we checked out Waco Ale Company, which I do recommend. They're in Waco, Texas. A really nice little place, good beer, solid guys that are there. And next after that, we checked out in Belton, Texas, Nolan Creek Brewing, which was pretty fun. There used to be a brewery there, which I don't quite remember the name. So I'm like, I think I've been here before, but that brewery's actually moved over to Temple. So, which I can't. I know we visited it before, but I don't remember. We had lunch there, really fun, brought and hot dogs and stuff like that. So simple fare, but good stuff. Had a beer there and moved on. And after that, we headed. We were gonna head home, but then we're like, "Oh, are there any breweries around here?" And well, sure, there were. There was one in Killeen called Phantom Warrior Brewing, which they're new. Also, Killeen is a site of the base that used to be called Fort Hood, and now it's called. So Fort Hood is now called Fort Cavazos, named after the first four-star Hispanic general, and this is home of the First Cavalry Division of the U.S. Army. So they have a brewery in Killeen, and that brewery, like I said, is called Phantom Warrior Brewing Company. They're kind of new. Some of their beers were good. Some of them needed work, but they have a cool logo because they have like the Death Dealer Phantom Warrior helmet thing as their kind of logo. So I bought a hat there. So I hope to visit them in the future, and hopefully they will have improved their stuff. And then finally, since we didn't drive down I-35, we drove down US 281. We stopped in Marble Falls at Bear King Brewery, and that was a really fine brewery. We also had like kind of dinner snack there, and had a beer. So yeah, and bought some beer to go. Mainly we bought beer to go because we're not going to drink there a lot. Maybe one or half a beer at each stop, and then keep moving, but buy beers to go because that's a great thing. One of the cool things out of COVID is that in Texas they relaxed a lot of the buying beer to go laws, and you can buy beer to go at most places, even on a Sunday. Yes, we used to have strict brew laws in Texas where at first you could not buy beer on Sunday, then you could only buy beer after noon and only at a place that served food. And now, and breweries could never sell beer on Sunday, but now they can. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't think liquor stores can sell on Sunday still, but maybe that'll come eventually. So cool. So that's our little beer journey. The rest of the show, well, I'm going to talk about games. We have calls from Jason Connerly, Joe Salvador, and my wife Amy doing her famous Kasha voice. So sit back, enjoy, and I'll be right back. But first, some Jason.
Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
Hey, Carl, just started your latest episode. You could have the party split for Twilight 2000 and have the characters or the players make new characters. The ones, so the players who have Americans going back to America, they keep the same characters and the other players make new characters. And then the characters that went to America, those players make new characters for the European game, and then you just switch back and forth between those two games, right? So you could run them both, but still have all the same players. So that's an option too, if your players are up for that. Hey, Carl, Jason here. Finished your review, and I don't know if it was a mental blip on your part not to mention Hyperborea when you were mentioning your favorite sword and sorcery games, or if that's fallen out of favor now that you're going to play real AD&D, or because that's not real AD&D anyway, is it? But or is it that there are just too many sword and sorcery games out there? We have too many games, Carl. We need to cut back. You play different games, different nights. I get that. Only play 5 systems this year, Carl. 2024, the 5 system challenge. Only play 5 RPG systems, master them, so you don't mix up the attribute names when you call for tests. That is your challenge, Carl. Good luck. This message will self-destruct.
Well, I apologize for that. It looks like the previous iteration somehow I put the wrong thing down, and I put the intro down twice. So this is a attempt, and I can't find the original file. This is an attempt to recapitulate the awesome response I gave to Jason earlier. So So let's talk about Hyperborea first. I did miss out on Hyperborea, or failed to mention Hyperborea, but truth be told, it is the secondary title is Sword, Sorcery, and Weird Science Fantasy. So perhaps that is what threw me off. And I did get to run a game of Hyperborea. So thank you for that intro, Jason. I get to talk about Hyperborea. We finally got to play it, sort of a backup game. And I originally had titled my Hyperborea saga Shadows Out of Vinland, and it was inspired by the events that happened at the end of A Trapper's Lament. So, spoiler alert, there's a chance that you can be possessed by an alien intelligence. So, taking inspiration also from Lovecraft's Shadows Out of Time, I had the characters kind of spend a year, or the creatures spend a year in the bodies of the characters, and the characters, quote unquote, wake up far from where they were originally in Port Singarios. Some things have happened. One of their companions had been captured. One of the players found his other companion in a madhouse, and the creatures left instructions and maps for them, and all this, and notes about what had happened and what they were doing. But unfortunately, those characters died. They were killed by ghouls underneath the arena in Port Singarios. So we made second characters, and these characters found all these notes, and I don't think they've decided what they're going to do with them, but they are continuing in the gladiatorial combat. We've had, the last time we played, after they recovered, they had another bout. They decided to rest and not go exploring again, because there's some weird things going on underneath the arena. But they chose not to explore it and to recover. I had my 2 usual players and a guest player this time around. I had Arlen of Live from Pelham's Wasteland, and he played a character that was an NPC. So the characters got to fight it out in the arena against a Northman berserker and his crew, and the characters prevailed. It was a good fight. Again, the group's berserker went down. Seems to attract a lot of attention and crit rolls. I did roll a ×3 crit on this poor dude, but he didn't die. He kind of was stabilized before he got to -10, which I think is death in Hyperborea. So he might have some scars. He got a lot of scars now, but they made it on to the next competition, which I believe is going to be, now that you've won this one, now you can join the champion named Auric and his group to fight against all the monsters that they're going to release, that they have captured. And that includes the companion of the former player characters, who apparently is a werewolf. So So yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. They have a plan, but I have no idea what's going to happen with that. So as far as Twilight 2000 goes, I will talk about Twilight 2000 in another episode, my end of the year episode. We have played since I played all these games and since we got back. But yeah, they're moving towards, and we're in the middle of Ruins of Warsaw. And then what I mentioned is that after that, there's this fun book called Going Home, where you have a chance. The default in the original Twilight 2000 first edition was that you were Americans in Europe, but now you can be wherever, and we have Germans and Polish in the group, and they have no reason to want to go to America. They want to fix things in the aftermath of World War III, or it's kind of still going on, I guess, in Europe, in Poland, and maybe Germany. Who knows? So Going Home, though, does give the opportunity for the Americans to hitch a ride home. Although here's a spoiler for them. Hopefully they won't take a convoy of vehicles, because it's almost like a reset. It's like a purposeful railroady reset where you can't take your vehicles back. Those are become property of the German army, and yeah, you can take your gear and your weapons, but no vehicles, unless you have horses. Maybe horses would be allowed. Who knows? But yeah, so and then like what Jason said is we'll either have one of two things. The people going to America will pick up NPCs or make new characters for Europe, and the people staying in Europe will use NPCs or make new characters for those that are going back to the US. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe they'll make new characters. That might be the best thing to do. But then how do you, with all the camaraderie that's developed, how does that work? And as far as the 5-game challenge, Jason, I think it's impossible. I already have 5 games that I'm running currently, and that prevents me from adding new games or running games that are voted upon in the poll on the YouTube channel. So yeah, we'll have to go from there and check it out. And honestly, it's not attributes I get confused. It's usually the skill which you use to perceive things, whether it's perception or recon or awareness or spot hidden. Well, I get those confused. But what can you do? I have, getting older, losing my memory. So there you go. Thanks so much, Jason, for the calls. And next up, we have Joe Salvador.
Hey, Carl, it's Joe. I just wanted to give you a call and say that I really enjoyed your last episode. Your mini review of Swords and Chaos was very cool and much appreciated, honestly. So I spoke with that author back when he was designing the game over on the Whetstone Discord, and we had gone back and forth a little bit. He offered to actually at the time he offered to send me the game and looking for an opinion, that kind of thing, and I had to decline, mostly so that we weren't making the same game. I didn't want to cross contaminate, that kind of thing. And for the same reason, I got the PDF and I haven't really looked at it. I've kind of browsed through it and looked at the layout. And I should mention that our friend Ian did that layout, and it looks great, man. But yeah, I haven't really dug into it. So your take on it was pretty cool. I mean, Castles and Crusades is a great game. I haven't played that for quite a long time. I don't even really have much of the stuff anymore, because I know that they've updated a few times since I was playing it. But whenever I was running that game, I felt like it was a modernized second edition. At least that's the feel that I had from it. And man, I thought it was very cool. Yeah. So anyway, hopefully it's a good fit for Sword and Sorcery. And maybe we'll get it to the table sometime. All right, buddy. Hope all is well. Cheers.
Hey, Joe. Thank you for the call. Wow, insider information from the Raven God. So that is cool. Castles and Crusades is on their 7th printing, And I don't know. I feel like it's more 3.5, but maybe you think it's second edition. I know they do the sort of siege mechanic or engine where you have 3 or 4 primary attributes and the rest are secondary attributes. So when you make like a skill check or an attribute check, then your primary attribute, the DC is set for 12, and then you add your level, subtract the level of the bad thing, guy, challenge, and then roll that. Whereas for your secondary attribute, it's an 18. So yeah, makes it a lot harder. So yeah, I think it's a cool system, and I do like kind of the world of Arid that Stephen Chenault has set up in Castles and Crusades. And yeah, so you'll hear my unboxing of the Undying War in a little bit. But yeah, so Joe, thank you for that call. I don't know if I have much else to say. That is super cool that Ian did the layout for Swords and Chaos. It's a pretty nice layout, and I like the way it turned out for sure. So we didn't get to play Reaver, but we did get to discuss, and I thank you for that. The super secret game that I'm running at BSRCon. I'll probably talk about that in a couple of podcasts as I talk about development and it comes closer to the time to run it. So we'll see how that goes. And then, but I did run like kind of a sword and sandal game, sword and sorcery game, other than Hyperborea. I was able to run some Jackals, and I thought it turned out really nice. The Jackals is on the YouTubes. You can check out on the YouTubes Jackals, and with Jason Hobbs and my wife. And yeah, I was in that adventure. I just kind of made up as I went along. Very simple setup where the Jackals traveling south along the War Road come across a caravan that has been attacked by bandits, and they talk to the people there. There's the merchant who seems genuinely distraught because his son is missing, as well as the loss of life of his men, and then his guard captain, who seems a bit like he's hiding something, let's just say. And the players picked on that pretty quick. I think it wasn't too hard to figure that something was amiss, but then they decided that it was important to help this merchant, and nothing like the bonds of family. So they take on this charge to go track down and rescue this teenage son that the marauders, the bandits, took. They run into a bandit, kind of seemingly mad in the desert here, and he says that they're attacked by ghosts or spirits, and they try to comfort him, but it's to no avail. They get some info, and they keep going, and they do encounter said bandits. One of the bandits appears to be very similar looking to the guard captain. They deduce it's the guard captain's brother, and this was a plot to kind of take the son and extort money from the merchant. It seems diplomacy goes out the window very quickly, and the Jackals, Cassandra, Amy's character, and Anzor Azai, Hobbs' character, dispatch these wolves bandits really quickly. Then they kind of track, and they learn that the spirits took the boy. They follow this to a cave or look at an old tomb. They go through the tomb, and Anzor kind of sees the different webs of magic and ritual that is going on. They confront the spirits that are trying to possess the boy, maybe. They destroy the link, kill the powerful lead spirit, and dispatch the lesser ones. So it was a good adventure that was able to be accomplished in like one session, and I was pretty proud of that. Usually my little one-shots that I develop take way too long, and are usually more than one session. Case in point, we still haven't finished the Downton Abbey game that I wanted to run for my wife from 2 years ago, and that was like 2 sessions in, and we still hadn't finished it. I guess maybe because it's Call of Cthulhu, and I really like players to get into it and get into the role-playing aspect, and they really did. And, of note, I do have that recorded somewhere. So I don't know, maybe having to podcast or YouTube/podcast near you. There's no visual on it, but there is good audio, I think. I just have to go through the audio and edit it and the like. But anyway, it was a really good Jackals game, and I guess that is your sword and sorcery recap for the episode. Thanks, Joe.
Hello, Mr. Geomologist. This is Kasia Nonovyobosninsky from the Free Krakow Coalition. I think you know who I am. Better not be telling people who I am. I will have to kill you. I would not like to do that. Anyways, it might get to you a little late, but we decided, the late Jonesy and I, we scrounged together some stuff with the help of Mr. Grunts, because he better scrounger. We glue some things together and we send you package. I hope it get there in time. I think mailman might not be accessible, so we have to send different way. I pause for you to tell me you receive.
Okay, Kasha, Jonesy from the grave, I received your package. It is, I gotta do the measure me thing, I guess. 9 inches, so for Jonesy and Kasha, who are from Europe, 23 centimeters by 6.5 inches or 19 centimeters, and it's pretty thick. It is 3.5 or 9 centimeters, and it is from it doesn't say, Independence Parkway, CR. Oh, I see. That means Free Krakow Coalition in Cyrillic or Polish script. So I'm opening it up using my little pocket knife. That was easy. I only had one tapey thing, so hopefully Mr. Mailman didn't go through it. It says Samsung Galaxy 23 Plus. Oh wow, I get an upgraded phone and a little packaging for it to return phone. But yeah, upgraded phone. That's post-COVID, finally. Yay! Thank you, Kasha and Jonesy from the grave. Are unboxings coming back in fashion? I don't know. I don't think I'm a fashionista, but I will open this box for you from Troll Lord Games, direct from Steve Chenault himself, or at least that's what's on the return address. And yeah, it's a big, heavy box. Is there a weight on it? No, there is no weight on it, but it is heavy, and it seems pretty thick. How thick is it, you ask? Well, I'll give you the dimensions. They are 13 inches, so 33 centimeters by 9 3/4 inches, so about, 24 centimeters. And thickness is about 2 1/4 or 6 centimeters thick. So let us open it. I did have a little thing to open it with. Oh, like a little handy dandy pocket knife. The dog's coming to help. And I open it. Oh, it has more things to cut. Tape to cut, but it's one of those unfoldy outs. Ah, very nice. Wow, multiple products in here. It is the Undying War 5th edition version. Pretty cool. Pretty thick book. Clocks in at 368 pages. The cool thing is, I believe that the author also put everything onto a version of Castles and Crusades. So here we go, Castles and Crusades, the expansion, Environs of Ostfog, Codex of Arid Expansion, the Bakarian Coast, Ostrog Level 1, the Bone Pit, the Undying War's war maps, Saga of the Ebon Staff. So all these were whatchamaboppers stretch goals. There's a cool map, 8x10 map of the area, and maps that are, it looks like, the double fold out, so 16 by 20, 8.5 by 20 of the Bone Pit. So pretty cool stuff. I will peruse it and give you an overview in a little bit. Hey, I am back. So yeah, let's take a look at what we got in the box. So I love maps, and there's like an 8x10 map and an probably like 8x10, 8.5 by 11 map, like single page map of the wider area, and then something called the Bone Pit, which I think is one of the higher level adventures. And this one is sort of like a 2-page spread, so that would be 16 by 10 or so, which is pretty cool. It'd be nice if there were, like a bigger fold-out map, but that's cool. That is okay, actually, because they have like a whole Undying War maps, which is really cool. So for all the little adventures that they have sort of smaller maps that you can refer to at the table, and if you have the PDF, of course, use them potentially on your PDF setup. So it's a complete map booklet for the Undying War adventure. Each section's maps are gathered here for quick, easy reference. I like that. The cartography is pretty good. I would say some things are a little dark in the printing, but I guess it's more of a stylistic thing. For me, some things are harder to discern. The contrast is hard to discern on some of the maps, but that's only like on a few of them, not on all of them. But that's cool. It's really nice to have that. Then there's a couple more kind of expansion things before we get. It says After Winter Dark on all of these, and part of the Codex of Arid Expansion, there's the Environs of Ostrog, and Ostrog is a big dungeon that you're going to deal with at the end of the Undying War. So it's a nice little gazetteer, about 20-page gazetteer of the Environs. Then a Codex expansion of the Barachian Coast, which is, I guess, a bigger area, maybe where a lot of the other adventures take place, leading up to the big finale. And this is about a 30-page area, so it's adjacent to the Ostrog area, so which is really cool. I mean, really, if you wanted to have a campaign in here, intersperse adventures, or maybe even not use the Undying War adventure, then that'd be kind of cool. Then they have something here called, before I get to the actual Undying War adventures, they have something here called the Saga of the Ebon Staff. So a brigand and thief have slunk into Lord Wind's keep and pilfered several valuable carvings, and then this Lord Wind offers gold for the return of the goods. So it takes place. It's an overlaid adventure that pits your characters against dangers both rare and extraordinary, designed for use with mid-level characters 4 to 6. And this one, I believe I have the Castles and Crusade version on PDF. Although this might be the Castles and Crusade. Yeah, I do have This is a Castles and Crusade version that I have of the Ebon Staff. It says on the little logo. I might have the 5e version too, but it's a straightforward little mini adventure, which is pretty cool. Extra offering there, or maybe I did it as an add-on. And then before I get to the Undying War, or maybe I should, there's another little booklet. But the Undying War, it says, embark on an epic journey filled with danger and intrigue. It's an adventure path that starts along a tranquil river beneath the shadows of Blacktooth Ridge, but beneath the surface lies a world of peril and ambition that will draw your party into a battle of epic proportions. So, so you're thrust into a conflict between good and evil, led by some enigmatic foe. So what's really interesting is that there's a love story behind this too. I don't want to get into complete spoilers, so I think that's a little different maybe, that it's not just power, a lust for power, but there's also an intertwining of love and loss. At least that's maybe a draw, or hopefully not a hindrance, but something unique or different. It does take you from 1st to 13th level. Whether I have the 5e version here in hardback, but I know I have the Castles and Crusades and the 5e version as PDFs. So whatever is your fancy, you could run it. And you can get this either as a 5e version. That's probably why it took a little bit of time for Trollord to get this out, because they did both the 5e and the Castles and Crusades version, which I think is kind of a good idea. So appeal to two different crowds of people. But 1st to 13th level, and then you're, so yeah. So the first adventure is The Rising Night, and there are 13 adventures in here. But there's also, like, they have the Bone Pit A13 Ostrog level 1. So this here is Ostrog is the Iron Will of Evil, House of Terror where dwell the shadows of darkness. Things like the Fell Beast, or the Fell Beast dwells there, Unklar, the Horn God. So it's over 3,000 feet tall and 1,000 wide. It's a catacomb of unbelievable dimension. So the Bone Pit is the beginning of the journey, the first level of the 21 levels of hell. So that's the Bone Pit. You start here. I don't think it gives you all of. I would be surprised or shocked if you get all of Ostrog in this adventure, but I could be wrong. So let's see. If I think it probably ends here. I'm just looking at the last adventures here. There's the gates of Ostrog here. Yes, I think there must be a separate thing, but the Paladin's Lament is for 13th level characters here, and it takes you a complete series of adventures in and around the portico, which lead to the Fetid Morass, the Haunted Ramp, the Kennel, and the Tower of the Horn. So maybe you continue, maybe there's a follow-up at some point where you actually go into Ostrog. But yeah, looks like you fight devils, dragons, crazy things. So it's pretty solid product. It looks like. Hard to say if I'd ever get to the table. I have so many Adventure Pass, and I probably will stop buying Adventure Pass. I have so many for 5th edition and other games, but this clocks in at 367 pages. Plus, you get the Ostrog level 1, the Bone Pit. So if you wanted to do like a straight up dungeon crawl of the Bone Pit, you could do that as well. It's a pretty solid product. I do like Trollord games. That's probably why I do these Kickstarters. And maybe I'll. Who knows? Hard to say. So as far as games are concerned, we finally got our Pathfinder Kingmaker going again. We're approaching the end of the first book, where if you play the video game, play the first edition of the game, you deal with this bandit lord called the Stag Lord. And actually in this adventure, the player characters discovered like a back entrance, which I thought was kind of cool. I always believe, that encounter, it seems like from 3.5 onward, it seems like every encounter might be a deadly encounter, and that idea of sort of the reaction roll was kind of tossed somewhere. But it's pretty neat, and I kind of use the reaction roll to see what the disposition of a particular adversary will be, and not just default to, well, they're going to attack, unless the encounter says specifically these people are out to murder hobo the player characters. So they had an encounter with a group of wargs, and I rolled, and it was kind of neutral. And the player characters decided to talk to the she-warg that was out there leading her pack. And she told them about another warg who was trying to ally with trolls and was bad news and had taken her territory and gave her a sob story, but then left amicably, relatively so, but said that she would help them if they could get rid of this bad pack leader that drove her out of their territory. So later on, they randomly encountered a So this was a random encounter, actually. This small pack led by a she-warg. But then they ran into the actual warg that she was talking about. This warg attacked their camp. I had a little map that I found and we did a little combat there. And it was a good little fight where the player characters defended their camp. The complications that arose with your horses speak by the wargs. And fortunately, I kind of rolled random to see like when the horses bolted, that is, in this case, lost their morale or failed their will save. Rolled randomly which way they bolted. Fortunately, they didn't bolt out and down the hill. I guess I felt that was safer with the player characters, a group, and it was a good little fight. They defeated those wargs, drove off the other wolves away, and then they're kind of scanned and reconned the Staglor's fortress. They did learn some other information that they're probably undead, lying in the empty space between the tree line, and the fortress. That was told to them by the she-warg, and then so I think they're gonna try to assault, or they're gonna either bluff their way, or assault, or sneak in to the Staglord's fortress the next time. So we'll see how that goes with Pathfinder. We haven't gotten back to Abomination Vaults or Pathfinder again since it's just bad luck with. Oh no, did we do Abomination Vaults? Hold on a second. That's right, we did not do Abomination Vaults because one of the players was out, so we decided to do Hyperborea. I've told you about that. I did have my regular players. You know him as at Erks, Matt Wagner, and then BJ Boyd, and then we had a guest player for the Hyperborea game, Arlen Walker of Live from Pelham's Wasteland. So cool group, and we got to play because one of my other players was out. So yeah, similarly, like I said, I finished Star Wars Season 1. I'll talk about that in another episode. But because we would have finished earlier. Fortunately, we finished this time. But the time before, we just did an Achthung Cthulhu iteration. That's our backup game. And this is a continuing Norway expedition to stop and see why the Nazis want to It's based on a prophecy from this Norwegian shaman who worships the god of the sea and says that the god's ex-wife is in trouble. So the player characters have had confrontations. They were told to go to this library and find out what it is. They discovered, and apparently the Nazis are looking for. Well, here's the proper mythology. The god of the sea, Njord. Skadi was once married to Njord. Skadi is a giantess, goddess of Norse mythology. And the player characters, after successfully beating off the Nazis at this library and stealing their information and their tech, they discovered that they want to recover Skadi's spear in the mountains of Norway and then use the spear, calling it the Spear of Destiny, propagandizing that as a Spear of Destiny, the spear that pierced Christ in the New Testament. So the player characters need to rush there and get it first. So there's like a race between them and the Nazis to get there. The player characters go by boat and then find a friendly village and negotiate for horses. And because they struck such an impression in the village, and one of the player characters being a Norse rebel, part of the Norse resistance, is able to get on the good side, and they tell him of a secret way into the mountain, an old volcano, and I think it's one of the mountains in the Jotun range, which I believe is the mountain that starts with a G. The mountain is called Galdhøpiggen, which is the highest mountain in Norway at 2,469 meters, 8,100 feet tall. It has a glacier on it. I don't know if it's all volcanic. I made that up. So they travel to Galdhøpiggen and inside the mountain and discover, not just old Norwegian script. They have some scholars among them, but also, it's in Jotunheim National Park, by the way. And they discover that there is a more eldritch, older writing, and one of the player characters can discern it and realizes that it is like things that keep something inside. So boards of protection or barrier. So they keep going, and eventually they come to this large open space in the mountain under the glacier, some sort of temple, the geometry of which defies Euclidean norms, and there are bridges that cross over into it, and that's where we will stop. I know what Scotty is. The players might not. Will they recover the spear, or will they run away in fear and madness? And what's going to happen to the Nazis if they get there? They actually did really well in sort of the race against the Nazis. I was rolling sort of time and randomly, and fortunately it snowed, and the Nazis got held up because they were going by road around and then to the base of Galhupigen. So the player characters have, I think, a couple hours before the Nazis get there, maybe an hour, but they got there ahead of time, so we'll see what they do. But it's pretty cool. It's been fun. I actually, again, this is like totally made up. There's no spoilers here, really, because, well, I rolled up this adventure sort of randomly using the Game Master's toolkit that they provide in the screen for Achthung Cthulhu, which I thought was kind of cool. So the last thing I'll talk, well, nope, there's more things to talk about. Maybe I'll talk about these next time. I know I played Warhammer Fantasy, like I said, and Traveler, but maybe I'll talk about those in my sort of end of year review, since those are ongoing campaigns. Same with the Star Wars finishing season 1. But I will say I am playing Traveler, and you can, it's a Borderlands run, and I'm playing, you can watch it on Dungeon Musings, Kevin Madison's channel, and it's been really great. I love Traveler. I've been wanting to play forever. I've played since I played Classic, Mega, T20, Traveler Hero. I played a lot of iterations of Traveler, Mongoose 1 and 2. I'm playing Mongoose 2 myself, and this is a Mongoose 2 game. But it was really very cool. You need to go watch that video and see where how us and the crew of the Rift Wanderer have gotten into trouble, or get ourselves into trouble, or insert ourselves when there doesn't have to be trouble. It's pretty cool. And I'll talk about our own Traveler game, because I think the good thing is we will not. No, because it's supposed to be, I do not think we will have another Traveler game until the new year. So, which is, because of Christmas coming up on Monday. So, yeah, I've started the action aboard the King Richard for my own Traveler, and I'll get to that in another podcast, as well as a Warhammer Fantasy Enemy Within. We had a great session. We have one more session to close out the year, so maybe I'll talk about that in the end of year, a wrap up, and see where we're at. I feel like we're about halfway through The Horned Rat, which is 4 out of 5 books in the Enemy Within. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. So I think I'm going to close it here and give you the outro. Thank you so much for listening. This has been the Geomologist Presents. The intro and outro music are by TJ Drennan. Usually my wife does the cover clip art, but the art piece today is clip art from the Untapped app, where you can rate and track your beers. It is the Find the Source badge logo art piece, whatever you want to call it, clip art. The other music that's in between are just random things that I've thrown in. Notably, Looperman, which is you sign up for it, and it's just clips that artists throw on there for your free use. So, yeah, if you want to get in touch with me, you can email me at geomologist@gmail.com. Leave me a voice message, send it to there, or an email message, or you can send me a DM with a voice message through Discord, or a text message, I guess. And you can also use SpeakPipe, which I have linked in the show notes. And you can also try and send me a message using the Spotify for Podcasters website, formerly Anchor. So thank you so much for listening. have a good and safe and happy holiday. We're coming up here to Christmas and the New Year, so everyone stay safe, be awesome, good luck, good night, and good rolling.